Hi everyone. Happy to be practicing yoga with you today on this snowy day. I'm recording it on Tuesday, but hopefully the sun is shining tomorrow when you're watching this. But it is still quite beautiful, so I've moved my space over to allow me to look out the window and watch the snow sort of swirling around. I don't know about you, but I've been spending a lot more time on my computer and on my phone, and that has resulted in a myriad of, crunchiness in my neck and shoulder, upper back area. Not to mention that the last month and a half have been in a pretty tense, stressful time. So, I notice I feel that more in my shoulders. They start to creep up around my ears more than usual. So I thought today our practice could focus on releasing tension in the neck, the shoulders, and the upper back body. A much slower pace than what you're used to with my practices. They tend to be a little swifter, but hopefully it'll give you a nice stretch in those areas. And I invite you to, pick some of these postures or these stretches that really call to you and do them throughout your day. So this is meant to be a practice that you can incorporate daily to help get you centered and to release some of the tension that we're feeling, especially if, like me, you enjoy regular massages and you haven't been able to do that as much or at all. So this might be a chance to work on some of those knots that have been forming. So we are going to start in seated cross-legged position, Sukhasana. However, we do need a couple of props today. So maybe pause the video and go and find these items and then join us back here on the mat. This is what you will need. I'm going to use blocks, but you are just as well off with a couple of books. You don't absolutely need them, so if you don't have any books close by, you can do without for sure. But if you've got two books that are similar in size, they will help to deepen a stretch that we're going to do later. And you will need a rolled up towel, or even maybe a pillow this size would be great. And you will need a belt or a strap. It can be like a robe belt. It can be just a belt that you wear on your pants, or even like a piece of rope would do the trick. So it doesn't have to be a yoga strap. In fact, mine's not. So go gather those items and come back and join us on the mat. Excellent. Okay. So we're going to start, as I said, in seated cross-legged position, Sukhasana. And we're going to focus on really lining up so that we're seated nice and tall. So think head over heart, your heart over your pelvis. Tucking the tailbone just ever so slightly. You roll the shoulders up, back, and down. And always thinking of like that string, that puppet string coming out of the crown of your head, keeping you nice and tall and long. And inhale, bring your elbows out to your sides, pull them in just a little bit to see what that feels like to bring your shoulder blades together, and then let your hands rest gently on the mat. And we're going to just get centered here with a couple of deep breaths. So you feel free to close your eyes, and let's inhale on the count of 4. And exhale for 4. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. One more. And bring your hands to rest either palms up or palms down on your thighs. We're going to drop our chin to our chest. And feel the stretch already through the neck and the upper back body. Fully exhale. And on the inhale, draw a line with your nose towards your right shoulder. And coming back through center, carve that same line over to your left shoulder. So just little half circles with your breath. Maybe noticing any spots that might be tense. hearing a couple of crunchy noises. I certainly do. Now think about like a colored pencil or something sticking out of the tip of your nose, and you want to draw a circle right in front of your face. So kind of leading with the nose here. Inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. One more. And then we're going to start moving in the other direction. So inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, and exhale back down to center. One more. And release. Batting your eyes open, lift your chin up. All right, we're going to inhale up. Exhale, you're going to bring your left hand to your right thigh. Your right hand is going to come behind you, just a little gentle twist. Maybe with each exhale, you can go a little deeper into the twist. But we're just warming things up here. Inhale, reach back up. Exhale, other side. And you still want to think about that tall lion, long spine. So is your head over your heart? Is your heart over your pelvis? Grounding down through the sits bones. Just that slight tuck in the tailbone. One more breath to twist out any doubts. And then inhale back up, hands to heart center. Actually, we're going to bring our hands out to the side, reaching up with the left hand. You're just going to use the weight of your hand. So no tugging, no pulling, no like crazy movements here. We're just going to use the weight of our hand to gently rest and reach out with the right hand to open up some of that, the tissue in here along the right side in your trap area. And here I invite you to move slowly. Maybe play around with just moving your head this way and that. Maybe noticing the areas that are tense, like, oh yeah, I feel it right there. But of course, not going anywhere painful. Reaching out a little more with my right hand gives me just even more of a stretch right through that area. And it feels really glorious after being at the computer all day. Inhale, gently release that hand. Roll the neck over to the other side. Reach up with the right hand. And again, you're not pulling, you're not tugging. You're just using the weight of the hand itself to gently apply pressure to your head. And the left hand reaches out. And you can start with that gentle movement, just moving, maybe turning your head down a bit, very slowly. Maybe you find those sweet spots. And breathe into those spots. One more. Chin back down to your chest, palms come to the thighs, and look up. Bring your hands forward, pressing into the mat. I'm going to turn this way just so you can see a little better. And if this is too much on your hips, feel free to sit on that towel that you have. Sometimes bringing yourself up a little bit just provides a bit of release, because we're really not working too much on the lower body today. So just do what feels comfortable for you. You can sit on a block if you have one. And again, we're walking our hands forward. And I want you to think of all 10 fingers pressing into that mat. And on an inhale, I want you to act like you're pulling the mat towards you. And you're looking up, tucking in, almost like that cat and cow spine. So you see I'm getting a little bit of a stretch through the shoulders, the upper back body, even the lower back really feels this. And exhale, you're going to push the mat away, round through the back. Inhale, pull the mat towards. And exhale, round through the belly, bringing your navel to your spine. Inhale, pull towards. And exhale, push it away. One more. And walk your hands back up. We're actually going to come onto all fours. Wonderful. Bringing your knees so that they are shoulder distance apart, actually just right underneath your hip points, and your hands are right underneath your shoulders. And we just did kind of cat-cow backs. We're actually going to start with cat. So dip the belly down, shoulders coming along the back of the body, so they're sort of coming together, looking up. Big inhale. Exhale, rounding through and pushing back into child's pose. Doesn't matter if your head comes right to the mat. We're not staying for long. We're actually going to get a little flow going here. So inhale. Come up and scoop the belly. Exhale, round and push back to child's pose. Pause here. Inhale, come up. Exhale, round and push back. Inhale up. Round. Exhale, push back. One more time. Inhale. And exhale. Now we're going to get comfortable in child's pose here. So if you want more of an extended child's pose, feel free to widen your knees as wide as the mat. Maybe keep those blocks close by, or those books, whatever it is that you've decided to use. And walking forward, we're going to use a more active child's pose. So if your head doesn't come all the way to the mat, you might be able to use your towel to cushion it, to bring it up to the mat, or to bring the mat towards the forehead. If you can rest the forehead on the mat, go ahead and do so. But you want to stay engaged through the shoulders here. Big stretch for the whole back, but in particular the upper back body. Pressing into the tops of your feet, pressing into your hands. And breathe. Now here's where, if you'd like to stay where you are, by all means go right ahead. But if you'd like a little bit more intense of a stretch, bring those blocks so that they are just kind of on where your triceps are. Bring your head back down, hands together, going to bend your hands behind your back. Almost like you're making a shark fin behind your back. My students sometimes know I call this baby shark. Now again, you don't need the blocks. You can just bring your hands together, bring your hands behind your back like a shark. This is a great stretch. Feel free to stay there. But if you're craving a bit more intense of a stretch, a bit deeper of a stretch, you can use those books or those blocks underneath the tricep for a bit more of a stretch through the shoulders and the back. And melt into this one.
3 breaths to really enjoy it. Filling up the belly and completely emptying the lungs on the exhale. On your last exhale, bring your hands forward and walking back up.
If you're using books or blocks, you can get them out of the way. And we're going to slide all the way back to our all fours. You need to shake out your hips. By all means, bump them from side to side. Any movements that you need just to feel like you're well lubricated. All right. And remember, we want to get back to our hands right underneath our shoulders, our knees underneath our hips. Okay, we're going to peel up with the left hand, reaching all the way up. Now, this is a good stretch. This feels absolutely wonderful for me. But if it doesn't feel super great for you, it's okay to be here. Okay, it's okay to be here. Or if you feel like you want even deeper, more intense of a stretch, you can bring your hand behind your back, hook it around. So I don't know if you can see this here. If I turn around, there we go. Now, if you have any neck issues whatsoever, just stay where you are. If your neck feels really good and you don't normally suffer from any neck tension, you can drop your neck towards your shoulder. One more big inhale, and on the exhale, release the arm back up to the sky. And looking down, you're going to interlace this hand underneath your right arm. Coming down onto the left ear and the left shoulder. Reaching forward with the right hand. Filling up the air in the back body. Big, deep inhales and full exhales. One more breath. On the exhale, walk your right hand back down and come to all fours. Again, if you need to bump your hips side to side, by all means, go ahead and do anything you need before we switch to the other side. All right, we are going to now bring the right hand up. Nice twist, big stretch. Stretch through the shoulders, stretch through the back. And again, if you're craving more, bring your right hand behind your back, maybe hook it. And keep your neck neutral unless you have no issues with it and you want to drop it down towards your shoulder. Using the breath. One last exhale, reach the hand back up. And exhale, bring the hand through, threading that needle. Left ear comes to the mat and my left hand reaches out. Relax the muscles of the face. You may even want to close your eyes for this one. One more breath. And moving my left hand back down, coming once again to all fours. I'm actually going to back the bus up a little bit here. We're going to lower ourselves onto our bellies. Bring your elbows right underneath your shoulders. Nice long spine. Just a little Sphinx pose here. Sphinx pose. A little stretch through the abdomen. Shoulder blades coming together. You're not dumping into this. Lots of integrity. Pushing into the hands, pushing into the forearms. Gaze is straight ahead. Feel the belly maybe pushing into the mat. Legs are engaged. And slowly lower yourself all the way to your mat. Awesome. Walking your hands out so that they're actually off the mat. You're going to TP your fingers, so like making little tents or almost like you're, I don't know, holding onto a cupcake and you don't want to mess up the icing. Inhale, and on the exhale, you're going to come up in the cobra variation here. So bring your shoulders down and together. Bring the elbows in. There we go. So no dumping into, so we're not dumping down. Nice and long. You don't have to come up very far. Inhale, exhale, bring it down. Inhale, we're going to come up again, and this time we're going to look over our left shoulder. Legs are engaged, pressing into the mat. Exhale. Inhale, come up again. Look over the right shoulder this time. Remember those shoulders are down. And exhale. Back we go. Tuck the toes and push back to all fours. And we're actually going to take our one and only down dog of the day. So tuck the toes, push up, bring the hips towards where the wall meets the ceiling, and give it a little pedal. Let the head hang. We're not here for long. We're just going to walk our hands back towards our feet. And generous bend in the knees. We're not doing a whole lot of lower body work today, so we're not, trying to do a lot of hamstring stretching. You can keep those knees as bent as you'd like. Let the head hang. And I'd like you to interlace your fingers, and you're going to bring them to the base of your skull. So not your neck, not the top of your head, but just the base of your skull. And allow, once again, just the weight of your hands to open up all those vertebrae, just to give a bit more weight to pull everything down. Release the hands. Inhale, and we're going to roll very, very slowly up, one vertebrae at a time. We're not standing a whole lot today, which is good because I'm really in a tight frame here. I don't think you'd be able to see much of me standing. But I'm going to take a big inhale up. Fill up the lungs. Exhale, rain those hands down, and you're going to interlace your fingers behind your back. Now, if that's not accessible to you, you can grab belts or rope or whatever it is that you have, and you can use that to instead bring those behind your back. And instead of interlacing your fingers, you can work with a belt. Okay, bend in the knees, just a gentle bend in the knees. You're going to inhale and forward fold once again. If you have the belt comes above your head, or if you want to interlace your fingers, bring your shoulder blades together, and again, forward fold, head releasing towards the earth, hands are coming up above your head. Now we're going to bend the right knee, straighten the left, and you're going to turn towards the left, letting your hands fall towards the right side.
And back to center. Bend the left knee and a gentle straightening. So not like locking it out, but just a gentle straightening, and you're going to twist towards the right. And inhale back to center and come to standing. One vertebrae at a time. Release the hands. All right, we're going to bend our knees, coming all the way back down to the earth. And we have, we're just going to come into like a modified camel. If camel is something that's in your practice, you've been doing yoga for a while, by all means go into full camel. Taking it easy today, so I'm just going to do a modified camel. You're gonna, and this is something where if you want a little bit of padding for your knee, feel free to bring that towel that you've been using, put them underneath the knees. Oh, I have dog company. Okay, they figured out how to open the door, so we might have puppies in the picture. Okay, so again, thinking of nice straight spine. What we were doing seated earlier, you know, that puppet master holding us. Stacking your heart over, your head over your heart over your pelvis. Just a gentle tuck. So you're not tucked right in, but you're also not popped out. Okay, nice, strong, long spine. We're going to inhale, reaching up. Exhale, hands to heart center. I'm going to bring my hands sort of like as if I was going to stick them into my back pocket. And then I'm actually going to walk them around so that my fingertips are pointing upwards. If that's not accessible to you, you can keep them in your pockets. Bring the shoulder blades together. And I'm going to take my hip points and push them forward. But if you want to stay here, still a great stretch for the back body. That's what we're focusing on today, so feel free to stay here. But if you want to push in a little bit to bring those hip points forward and look up. This is a little bit harder to breathe in these poses. We feel a bit constricted. Just notice how that feels. One more breath. And to come up, it's slow. Bringing the hands back down, getting into things coming out of things the way that we got into them. And back down we go. All right, move your extra padding out of the way. You've been using extra padding. All right, we're actually going to, I'm going to go into what's called cow-faced legs, but you can just sit and seated cross-legged if this doesn't feel good to you today. It's a pretty deep hip opener, so depending on how your hips feel today, you may want to just go into Sukhasana or cross-legged. But if you want to play around with cow pose, bring your right knee so that is facing towards me, and your left knee comes over top of you. You're trying to line up knee to knee. And if you're just right here, this is great. If you want to work to bring your left leg back a bit, holding on to both feet, you've got cow-faced legs. Again, the focus today is the upper back body, the neck, and the shoulders. So this is just kind of because I wanted a little hip stretch, but you don't have to do this. You can sit and seated cross-legged. Excellent. Now you want to have that belt handy for this one, okay? You're going to take the belt into your right hand. You're going to bring it up over your head, bending your elbow back. Now, reaching out with your left hand, you're going to rotate your shoulder so that it's, I guess we would call it a internal rotation, rotating it so that your palm is facing the back of the room, and then you're going to bring it around until you can find the belt. Okay, I'm going to flip around so you can see what that looks like. All right, and once you have it, you can start to walk it up to a point where it feels comfortable. And for some of you, you may say, okay, I don't really need that. I can just take a bind. Okay, so if you can do this, that's great. But if not, no worries, you've got the belt there. Very intense stretch for the shoulders. Now, the focus, really, like, I don't want you like kind of cranking into this. If you have to do that, go back to using the belt. You want to be able to sit up really straight and tall in this pose. So make that your biggest focus. How tall and straight can I sit up in this pose? And once you've got that, if you want to work your hands towards one another, by all means. And if you feel like you're at a spot where you're like, yes, this is the spot. I'm getting a nice intense stretch, but it's not so intense that it hurts, then you may want to fold forward. Breathing in and breathing out. One more breath. If you're down low, come back up sitting nice and tall. And then you're gently going to release this one, okay? It's pretty intense for the shoulders, so just a gentle release. And let's just roll those shoulders a few times. Okay. Now, if you're seated and cross-legged, just switch which leg is forward. So if you're seated like this, switch it to this. But if you are in cow face pose, there's kind of a trick to getting around to the other side. You're going to push into your feet, you're going to bring your hands, and you're going to walk around. And then naturally, the opposite leg will bend and fold. And look, I'm in cow face pose on the other side. If you got lost somewhere along the way there, now you have your left leg pointing forward and your right leg on top. Okay. And again, focusing on that nice, tall, long spine. Grabbing for the belt. And this time you're going to take it in your left hand. Right hand reaches around. And now this side, very different for me, extremely different. I don't go anywhere near as close to being able to bind those. Like I'll show you. Flip around, you'll see. This is about as far as this side is going to go for me comfortably. I can just barely touch, and it doesn't feel great. I would be at my edge there. So I'm just going to keep with the belt for this side. And it always fascinates me how the same body can be so different on one side to the other. And again, the focus on sitting nice and tall. And if you want to keep walking, maybe with each breath you can go a little deeper. But if you found your edge and you still want more, I invite you to lean forward. Or maybe if you just want that feeling of surrender, you can ease up a bit on the belt and then still lean forward and get a beautiful stretch. One more breath. And coming up on the exhale, gently releasing. And again, just get some shoulder rolls. It is a pretty intense one. All right, so we're going to come out of cow face pose and we're going to come up onto our knees once again. So knees are just a little bit wider than hips this time, but not quite as wide as the whole mat. We're going to walk, I'm actually going to back the bus up again a little bit. You want to be towards the back of your mat. We're going to do heart to earth pose, sometimes called puppy. You're going to walk your hands, and it's just like it sounds, we're going to try to melt our heart towards the earth. Walking your arms forward, again, keeping your hips above your knees. And eventually you may get your head to the mat, or maybe you need a block to bring the mat up towards you. And reaching forward, really intense stretch for the shoulders. This is a pose where I really need to use my breath. And I really like to think of each exhale as a surrendering or a melting into the mat. One more breath. Maybe walking your hands back a little bit and coming out of it and back onto all fours. Awesome. Okay, we're going to do a supported fish pose here. So take your rolled up towel. I have a towel, you could have a blanket. And we're going to line it up to where we'd like our mid back to be. So I'm going to bring my feet towards the bottom of my mat. I'm going to place this where I think, yep, that's about where my back is going to be. So it's a very restorative pose. You can see that we're starting to kind of calm down a little bit. Bring my elbows to the mat. I'm going to come to lie. And I think I need to bring my, right here. You can kind of feel that sweet spot on the middle of the back. And my arms are going to come out to a cactus shape, goalpost arms as they're sometimes referred to. Now if you practice full fish pose, I invite you to try that. If you have a soft block, you may want to use the soft block instead of the bolster. Yeah. If you have one of these soft blocks, these blocks are wooden, I don't recommend them. The towel is beautiful, but sometimes I like something with a little bit more support to it. Yeah. And legs are coming out long. You really feel this opening the chest, opening the front of the shoulders. You can hear my dog chewing on a ball. I hope it's not too distracting for you guys, and hopefully you can hear the happy sounds of your household. Maybe just try not to judge. Maybe let go of any judgments and just notice. Take on that role of the observer. What noises do you hear? Are there some gentle background noises that are just sort of a hum, a faraway hum? What are the closest sounds that you can hear? Two more breaths to enjoy this beautiful posture. And then you're coming back onto the forearms, so you're pushing into the mat, raising back up to a seated position, and remove the block or bolster or towel out of your way. And you're actually going to come right back down, but bring your knees up to give them a little hug. I love to rock back and forth. It's like a little massage for the spine, for the lower back in particular, but I'm also feeling it in my upper back today because we've really done a lot of work there. And coming with your legs out long, you're going to drop your head to one side. I'm going to switch mine to my left side. And I'm actually going to take my right hand and I'm just going to use it. Now, we are not massage therapists, but it's okay to give yourself a little gentle, very gentle rub on your traps. So I'm just trying to give myself a little bit of a self-massage here. And I really try to do that regularly throughout the day. I mean, we're not doing anything deep tissue here, but just some gentle massaging of the traps. melt in. And on the next exhale, head comes back to center and over to the right side. So I'm looking over to the right side, bring my left hand up, bend my elbow so that I can use my left hand to massage the neck and the traps on the right side. Just feeling for any knots. They actually feel pretty good. And release and head back to center. Now I invite you to put on some of your maybe favorite Shavasana tunes. Bring your arms out to the side. Let your palms face up, fingers curl naturally. And why don't we tuck our shoulder blades under a little bit? So, push up so that you can allow your shoulder blades to tuck under. And release, just melt into the mat. Allow your breath to become natural. You're in corpse pose. Some people say it's their favorite, and those who love it a lot. There are definitely many of us that struggle with Shavasana. But it is probably the most important pose. And again, I want you to take on that role of observer. Just notice the breath without trying to control it. Maybe notice any sensations that are in the body, but without trying to fidget or change anything. Just notice and accept. If you notice your mind wandering to maybe things that have happened throughout the day, or perhaps things that you have to do later today or in the week, just notice, but let them go. I sometimes like to imagine my thoughts on a leaf. And then I just put that leaf into a stream and watch it float away. For many people, they notice their thoughts and then they go to a place of judgment and they say, I'm not supposed to be thinking during Shavasana. The brain wants to think. It's just doing what it does naturally. So try to be gentle with it, knowing that you can always control what you do in that moment. So allow your thoughts to just come and go. And focus your attention on the breath. feel free to pause the video if you'd like to keep going in this beautiful posture. But if you feel like you've had enough for today, gently roll onto your right side, using your arm as a pillow. And it's in this posture that I really like to sort of seal in the benefits of my practice and think about what we focused on today, and also thank myself for doing something that is so good for my body. Using your hands as a support, once you've done that, you can bring yourself up to seated. And a few more deep breaths to finish up the practice. Big inhale and exhale. Once again. Namaste. See you soon.